day 6?
Today was day 6, yeah.
Today was day 6, so in 4 days this house is going to be done. Move in time.
Yep. Well, tomorrow we'll finish
5 days.
Painting. Wednesday we'll do finish carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
And Thursday we will put cabinets, and then Friday's floor coverings, and that's it. Well, landscaping too we'll do tomorrow and the next day.
What kind of landscaping?
We put metal edging with wood chip beds around the house, and we don't plant anything in those. That's up to the homeowners. We put a certain amount of square footage of sod, and the rest we put seed.
What about the any interior fixtures, light fixtures at all, or exterior lighting fixtures?
We have a porch light, and then you have the full fixtures on the inside. You have a light bar in the bathroom, and the rest of it is just incandescent bulbs, throughout the various rooms. Well, there's 4-bedroom homes.
Oh, these are 4-bedroom homes?
Yeah.
Oh, these are family homes?
These are larger families, yeah.
Gee, how many square feet are these houses?
They're 24 by 48, so they're slightly over 1,200 square feet of living space. So they're not huge, they're on a crawl space.
So if you sell these to people that are 5'6" or under, you're doing pretty well then. Just kidding. That's always the thought, though. What happens if you get a guy that's 7'2"? You probably design it for him, huh?
Yeah, well, we try to design it so, somewhat handicapped. In other words, if you had to get a handicapped person there, you could make the necessary changes. We try to design that, to look forward a little bit.
Okay, Gasbar. Now, so tomorrow, this is 19th and Trenton. These houses are being built, right?
Yeah, that's
all right.
Exactly right. Just south of the airport.
No.
It's not too bad. Planes. I was worried about planes a little bit, but really, most of them don't take off in that direction or land in that direction.
And there won't be any of them taking off
that's right.
soon. There'll be the new
if
airport.
That's on time, right?
New airport's coming in. Well, this is great. If somebody buys one of these houses and they move in and the real estate prices skyrocket, do they have the right to sell them and make a profit and move on to something else?
Well, they do, but Habitat withholds the first right of refusal.
Oh, I see.
So and the other part of it is, it's like they hold 2 mortgages for the first 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like take care of windfall profit, which that would be.
Oh, I see. Okay. So does it allow them to make a profit?
But the thing is, most of the people, I mean, that's rare, very rare. Most of the people work so hard, and they know that they've put their hands, in other words, into the project. And I think a lot of them probably end up basically living there the rest of their life.
Well, good.
Especially with no interest mortgage, right?
Sure. All right, Gasbar, thanks a lot. And if people want to help, they can drop by tomorrow at 19th and Trenton to help out?
Yeah, from tomorrow through Friday. That'd be fabulous. We'd love to have them.
What do you need? Anything in particular?
Well, we'd love to have people that know how to do finished carpentry. Mm-hmm. That's the next, or anyone that knows how to lay, like linoleum flooring.
So if any of you guys or women are listening and you're finished carpenters, tomorrow, or the next day, and if you're out of work or whatever, this is a good charitable cause. You'll be helping some people out and, get out there and do a little work, make you feel good. You never know. Maybe showers of blessings may fall upon you just by helping out in the community.
Yeah, and I guarantee you'll meet some interesting people.
Okay, thanks a lot, Gasbar.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Habitat for Humanities, folks. They're good people doing good things, and we like to have those folks on this show because God knows we have too much craziness in the world. In fact, if you know of do-gooders that are doing good things, do-good groups, let me know, because I'm the only show on KNUS where, do-gooders have a priority here. We need do-gooders. Do-gooders have gotten a bad name, which is fairly dumb. All right. When we come back, let me see here. When we come back, we're going to talk with John Fontaine. We're going to talk about driving the new S10 pickup trucks. We were bouncing them around in the dirt tonight. Jan Scott with you till midnight. 81 degrees in Denver, 81 in Boulder. Fort Collins, it's 82. And you're listening to the all-new AM 710 talk station KNUS.
Call the news classifieds and consider it done. You can buy it, you can sell it, you can find a job quick. The news classifieds always do the trick. 8927111, where you get results, cause we're number one. 8927111, call the news classifieds and consider it done.
For just $15, you can cash in on your unwanted items by placing a Merchandise Express ad in the Rocky Mountain News. You'll get a 3-line ad that runs for 10 days in the new Lift Out Classified section of the news. And for just $15, there's no better way to clear out those unwanted items and cash in at the same time. Just call 892-7111 and ask for a Merchandise Express Classified.
Buy it, sell it, find a job quick. KNUS classifieds always do the trick. Call 892-7111. Yeah, 892-7111.
If you suffer the discomforts of menopause, here's important news. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, medical doctor and nutritionist with good news for women over 40. There's an exceptional product formulated to help ease the discomforts of menopause. It's called Rejuvex, and it's all natural. The Rejuvex formula is based on the latest nutritional studies linking magnesium deficiency to the onset of menopausal discomforts. During menopause, the production of estrogen is greatly diminished, affecting the delicate balance of magnesium with calcium and other important vitamins and minerals. These nutritional imbalances often contribute to embarrassing and debilitating discomforts such as hot flashes and night sweats. One Rejuvex caplet daily restores nutrient balance, easing the mature woman through this natural change of life. Rejuvex is the all-natural product for women during and after menopause.
Rejuvex at Kmart, CVS Peoples, Rite Aid, Osco, Arbor, GNC, Super D, Revco, Eckert, Faze, F&M, Fred Meyer, Hook, Super X, and Natural Food Stores. For a free brochure, call 800-777-2000.
Welcome back, if you please, the man who owns nighttime talk radio in Denver. It's Jann the Man Scott, with interesting guests from all around America and callers like you on the Front Range. Talk right now with Jann at 935-7100, statewide, long distance toll free 1-800-533-0071.
20 after 9 o'clock. Here in the Mile High City, 81 degrees outside. Still pretty warm out. It was a blistering hot day, wasn't it? We got to go out and drive some Chevy vehicles this afternoon over at Bandimere Speedway, and I'll be telling you about that in just a little bit. Incidentally, folks, Monday night is the night when we review automobiles, talk about them. We head out to the races, see what's going on in motor racing, and every Monday night for around half an hour or so, we talk about motor vehicles. Now, first of all, a couple things that you probably already know this. If you don't, bit of a rundown in NASCAR at Watkins Glen yesterday. Of course, Mark Martin won that race in his Ford Thunderbird. In the New England 200 IndyCar race, Nigel Mansell again won in his Lola 93 Ford Cosworth. What else? Rocky Mountain Speedway. In the sprint cars, Rick Montgomery took the main event in the sprints. Colorado National Speedway, the main event. Trophy Dash was won by Roger Avance. The feature race, Jeff Seidler won this feature race out there. Okay, what else? That's about it in motor racing for this week. Some weeks we go into extended coverage. Other weeks we do not. Did have incidentally, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to KNUS automotive car dreamer John Fontaine's with us. John, good to have you back here on the old radio show.
Thank you. Great to be back here.
We had a big time today.
Fun.
We went down to Bandimere Speedway where Chevrolet put on kind of an expo of all the 94 model vehicles. They had a lot of different trucks. They had a bunch of different cars, everything from the Lumina van to the new Corvette was down there, the 84 Corvette. We got to sit in it. We did not get to drive it. And the 94 Camaro was down there, which really looks pretty sleek. It almost looks like the Corvette.
It almost looks like a Ferrari.
It really? Do you think so?
Yeah. There's they've been taking a few notes.
Oh, no.
Very, very low slung, and you can see Pininfarina's influence in the tail, I think.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Next week, incidentally, I almost mentioned the Ford Probe that we're driving, but next week we're going to talk about the 93 Ford Probe GT that we are driving, which also has the same Ferrari influence. But this week, since Chevy was in town and they brought a lot of cars in, we're going to talk about that. Specifically the S10 Blazers here, just in its S10 pickups in just a second. But We are going to drive, speaking of Camaro, we are going to drive the 93 Camaro, which is, I don't know if it's that far away and apart from the 94 or not. Actually, I do know, but there's an embargo on the information up until September 1st. Chevrolet has asked us not to talk about the 94 Corvette or the 94 Camaro. I can tell you they look a bit similar. There seem to be a lot more fireworks underneath the hood of the 94 Camaro. Quite the car. All right, so in about 2 weeks we'll be telling you about the 93 Camaro. I understand we're going to be driving one of those. So, meanwhile, we headed out onto the course that they had set up with some S10 four-wheel drives and S10 pickups. These are the little pickup trucks. Little itty-bitty. You want to talk about them, John, in terms of...
Well, yeah. What I'd like to mention is, you know, I've been a Ford person from way back. I drove these things. I think the handling is just, it's really sensational. The Toyota products, they're very good, but the thing is, for me, I'm 6 feet and, you know, larger than the average bear, and I just didn't fit in them. You know, the Toyotas just, but the Chevy, I get in there.
Yeah, but these were power steering, and the Toyota did not have power steering.
Granted. But the way it went around the switchbacks was just fantastic. Well, this was a truck.
There's a real talk about the 4-cylinder versus the 6-cylinder in terms of power and in steering. I noticed that the 6-cylinders really outpowered the 4-cylinders, but the 4-cylinders seem to steer better through the course.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that was in terms of the S10 pickup trucks. You're saying the S10 outmaneuvered the Toyota. I will agree with you, but I don't think that it outdid the Ford Ranger pickups, even though Chevrolet claimed that they did. They said, well, watch the steering, it kicks back and all of that. I don't think so. I mean, we've reviewed the well, certainly not in the four-wheel drive version of the S10, a four-wheel drive version of the Ford, the Ranger pickup. They're pretty close in handling.
Ford's product. I've sold Ford's product, and I will never say anything against a Ford product.
Well, I will. I mean, they've made some real crap in their days. The Ranger pickup truck is not that big a turd as a lot of people might think it is. What Chevrolet was pushing today over at Bandimere Speedway is that the S10 Blazer or the S10 pickup series is better than the Ranger series. Not that much better. Maybe better certainly than the Toyota, but not which is really something that, you know, that's going some because Toyota put out killer pickup trucks for a long, long time.
They did.
And they still do.
I'd say with the Chevy product, what I liked about it is I found, you know, to be fair to Chevy, I really think I threw it around the corners more quickly than I did the Ranger.
Yeah.
And I felt more comfortable going more quickly.
The Ranger two-wheel drive pickup got a little bit loose on me, and as we went through the course, I knocked down a bunch of cones, and of course the infield guys were yelling at me. They're always yelling at me. The flag, the starter was going, yeah, go for it, you know. But being an old race driver, I mean, I like to push something to the maximum to see how it's going to handle. If it has, you know, push or understeer or oversteer or any of that. The only thing I can say is the Ford rear end really came around and spun the tires a little bit more. But I think it had more horsepower than the Chevrolet 6-cylinder pickup trucks, just a tad bit more.
We also got to go on some sand, and they constructed these weird bumps and railroad tie things, and it was a real torture course, part of it.
An off-road course.
An off-road course.
That's right. Where we took four-wheel drive S10 Chevy pickups, small Ranger Ford pickups, and again a small Toyota pickup truck.
I'd say with the Chevy product again, I did feel a little more comfortable when the all four wheels were off the ground. And one of the other products, I really didn't know for a moment or two there whether I was going to be vertical, sideways, or whatever. But in the Chevy, it just was handling much better.
Now the four-wheel drive Ford Ranger pickup really it bounced like it had big springs under it. I felt like I was driving a Slinky. I almost actually did get it on its side. Who was it? Bill Clark from Channel 7 was over there just laughing hysterically. I mean, of course I'm an old dirt track racer anyway, so none of that stuff really bothers me. If you can jump them from bump to bump, the ride's a little smoother. The problem is when you jump off the hill and you land in the valley, it just slams you around, but you need to make it to the next little bump, which is what I was doing. You know, we put it down in low range and just, you know, took it up to 4,000 or 5,000 RPMs as fast as they would go. And in fact, there's a few times, John, I almost jumped in the back of the truck that you were driving.
Oh, yeah, yeah, well, would have found out about its carrying capacity pretty quickly then. Very quickly. Oh, yeah.
So, on the new Chevy 10, on the 94S, this is the 94S series pickup trucks. We really didn't get much of a chance to look at the interior. It's your all-around basic, you know, new model pickup truck, which has all the fluff, air conditioning, and, you know, stereos, all of that. You know, basically, they're all pretty nice these days. Pickups are not made the way they used to be. You know, even the basic series. You know, they have nice high back seats, and you can get strapped in, and you can reach the controls pretty easily. But for me, John, on the S10 series, basically a good vehicle, and I'll give it a thumbs up.
I would say in the interior, again, all the instruments seem to have the famous GM flat plane look. Just acres and acres of flat planes staring at you with various gauges and things. What I noticed about the S-Series is that you are given 2 accessory outlets in addition to the cigarette lighter. With the Ford product, I believe you're given only 1, so if you've got to have a coffee warmer in the morning, plus, say, your calculator or some computer, whatever, you can hook both of them in at the same time.
How do you rate it?
How do I rate it? You mean I win a
on this program, John, it's either thumbs up or thumbs down. Cut to the chase. I mean, which is it? Come on,
thumbs up.
You can be
thumbs
honest.
up.
You can
thumbs
give
up.
it a thumbs up on both the four-wheel drive and the.
Up.
I mean, you're sitting there wavering, you know. Huh? Is it because you're a Ford man? You're just afraid?
No, it's because I want the Corvette convertible. I don't care about the trucks.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you a little bit about the 94 Chevrolet Corvette convertible. I'm Jann Scott, and this is our little car segment here. Don't go away. We'll be back on KNUS, the talk station.
Denver Jeep Eagle's downtown location. Now, there's a different kind of a place to take your car. They can handle the biggest service problem your car or truck might have. A new engine, a rebuild, transmission problems, doesn't matter how big. But what makes them different is yet another philosophy. They also major in minor things. They major in minor things. Electrical problems, a darn good tune-up, or how about a thorough detailing? They have a few rules at Denver Jeep Eagle, but they're all in your favor. For instance, you'll be treated with absolute courtesy. Your service work will be performed with genuine expertise and professionalism, and priced fairly. You'll even be delivered to work in the downtown area, and they also offer, of course, a huge rental fleet at discount prices, and an amazing variety of top-flight used cars. Denver Jeep Eagle, downtown, at 1330 West Alameda, 871-0305. You're gonna love them.
Denver's only drive-by talk show host. It's Late Night with Jann Scott on KNUS. So shoot your mouth off with Jann at 935-7100, or from outside the metro area, it's 1-800-533-0071. And now back to Jann Scott Tonight.
Well, we don't have any prices on the new Corvette, but I do have spec sheets in front of me on the 1994 Corvette and the 1994 Corvette ZR1. Base price not available. Of course, they still make an overhead. Let me see here. Now, if you get the ZR1, it's a overhead cam motor, V8 cast aluminum engine, 4 valves per cylinder. How many horsepower does it put out? 405 horsepower. That's on the ZR1.
Probably
at
enough.
5,800 RPMs, right around at 6,000 RPMs. So, and it recommended fuel 91 octane. Can you buy 91 octane anywhere? I guess you can.
I believe so, yeah.
Just about. Okay.
Here and there.
As compared to, we can compare engines here with the We're talking about the Corvettes now. This is the ZR1. The ZR1 should be pretty hard to get. I mean, every time they come, people collect them, they buy them, and you can't get your hands on them. Let me see here. Okay, now, in the 94 basic Corvette, it's a cast iron block. It's an overhead valve motor rather than an overhead cam, as in the ZR1 is not aluminum, although the cylinder heads are aluminum, but that's always the case with a Corvette anyways these days. Let me see here. Horsepower is 300 horsepower, so it's 100 horsepower less than the ZR1. Probably quite a bit slower. I don't know. I mean, we sat in that red. It's that old orange red Corvette red that they've had for a long time. This is like a, it's almost like a day-glow red. That idea of red carpet, red everything. It's like, yo! You know, you have to be on a lot of serious alcohol to hang around in a car like that. It was way too red. Didn't you think? I thought it was like way too bright, man. You had to put sunglasses on it.
You'd really have to be on a first-name basis with the captain of the police chiefs or something like that. I mean, this is like, the cops don't need their lasers at this point. They just kind of, you know, this red is psychic. If they're awake, they are going to know that this car is coming.
Now, incidentally, folks, if you're a real car nut and you're listening tonight, and you want a copy of the 94 spec sheets on the ZR1 Corvette or the new 1994 Corvette, just give me a call here at 935-7100, okay? And Lane will get your name and address, and we'll send you a copy of this in the mail. You can be the first one on your block to have it. Also, what else? Do you want to talk about the Camaro convertible real quick?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Go, John.
Well, this car was sitting there, and it was just out of the factory. I was kind of, when I first saw it, I thought a lot of it was clay, but Jann noticed that it had 700 miles on the odometer, which means it was a functional model. Describing the car, I suppose somebody really critical would say the front is a little stormish, but who cares? It's beautiful. It is just low slung. The one we saw was
the new body style.
Yes, this must be pointed out. It is a new body style. The coupe is what we back in Connecticut, back in the mid-70s called Svelte.
Hang on here. If you call us, 935-7100, and you want to come on the air, I tell you what, we'll send you a new picture. I've got a brand new picture of the new Corvette and or the new Camaro. So this is an early release. You'll be the first person. This is Chevy's early showcase. So, Lane, if anybody calls us, whoever's on the phone there, and they want to talk to us, we can get them a new picture, too. Plus the specs on either the Corvette or the Camaro. But go ahead, John. I rudely interrupted you.
No big deal. Anyway, we've got 275 ponies under the hood of that Corvette convertible. Now,
you mean Camaro convertible?
Camaro, thank you, the Camaro convertible. The amazing thing about the base model Camaro, I understand it's like only $20,000 and change, and for a car, if you've seen it in the magazines, again, I'm a Ford person, what can I say? But it is a fantastic looking automobile.
Although it says here there's no base price listed, so you're assuming that it's going to be $20,000 and change. I don't think so. I think these cars, I think Chevrolet, from what CNN has said about Chevrolet and Ford and everybody else, they have raised their prices 10 to 12%. This convertible is going to be a $25,000 car.
But at that, it would still be a bargain, in my opinion. A car like this, well, 275 horses get you into enough trouble. The dash, again, it's less complicated than the Vet. It's more straightforward. And the back, as I said, I was reminded of a couple of Pininfarina designs during the mid-'80s. It is really not a bad line on this Camaro. It's a beautiful vehicle.
Okay, now if you want the spec sheets, incidentally, we have straight from the factory today spec sheets on the 94 Camaro convertible, the 94 Camaro, the 94 Camaro Z28, plus the 94 Corvette ZR1, and the 94 Corvette. We've also got some factory pictures. I mean, they say right on them, not for advertising, do not publish. This is material that's supposed to be held back till September 1st. And here's the inside of the Corvette convertible right here too. See, but now they've got a digital They have a digital speedometer. I mean, you know, any race driver hates digital speedometers, but the rest of the gauges are straight up and down gauges. Everything from oil cooler, oil temperature to water temperature. They do not. Do they have a fuel pressure temperature gauge? No, they don't. Okay, let's go to the telephones. You have to put your headphones on there, John. And we will go and talk with Mark in Littleton. Hi, Mark. You're on the air with Jan Scott and John Fontaine talking about the new Chevrolet Camaros and Corvettes and S10s.
Yeah, I guess they had a show at Bandimere.
Yeah.
That's still going on, or?
Well, no, it's a. This was a private showing for press only. Everything was under security. I mean, you know, it was fenced in. You couldn't get in there. It was not open to the public. They're gone. They loaded up and left. At 8 o'clock, they loaded everything in the trailers and headed out for another city. They're storming the country. They're going to 21 cities. I think they're headed for Las Vegas tonight. So basically, it was pretty much a secret deal. This was not a public exhibition.
I was looking at a police show the other day, and they had those new Camaro cars out there.
The 93s or 94s?
I think they're 93s.
Uh-huh.
I guess they have Corvette engines in them. Have you ever seen one of those? Or?
Let me see here. Let's just check the specs here on this for a second, Mark. Now, the basic Corvette, okay, it's a V8, and I think it's got to be, it still has to be a 350. Let me see, hydraulic lifters, bore and stroke, red line displacement, yeah, 350s. These are Chevy 350s. The Corvette has a 10.5 to 1 compression ratio, but if we go down to the ZR21 has compression ratio 11 to 1 pistons. Jeez Louise, and these are also let's see, are these 350s? Is this a 350 motor? It doesn't say, but I'm sure it's got to be. But let's go to the Camaro. The basic Camaro has. You're asking if it's a Corvette motor, and I'm comparing the motors right now. The horsepower in the standard. Okay, let me see here. Cast iron motor is 300 horsepower in the Corvette, 275 horsepower at 5,000 RPMs in the Camaro. So this is not. And I'll tell you what the differences are. They're overhead valve V8. It's a cast iron motor in the Chevy, but in the Camaro, in the Z28, I'm looking at the Z28. It's called an LT1 cast iron, aluminum heads, 2 valves per cylinder. Yes. Camaro's got roller height lifters. This one has these are hydraulic lifters. They're not roller lifters. Well, don't ask me why the Corvette puts out more. Oh, I'll tell you why. No, compression's the same, SFI is the same, yeah, but it puts out more horsepower, and I do not know why that's.
But they're similar engines.
They look like they're dead the same to me. Cast iron, aluminum heads.
Because
there's no difference.
Talking to them, they said the only difference between their Camaros and the stock Camaro was that they put the Corvette motor in them and put a roll bar in them.
Well, I'm telling you here, this says the horsepower is 25 less horsepower at 5,000 RPMs. The torque is different too, so there's something different. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really say. I mean, we could get into it. This is the Z28. Now, the standard Camaro, same motor. So,
okay.
So there you have it. You want us to send you the spec sheets on this?
Yeah, I gave my address already. So
you want a picture?
Yeah, I would.
Let's see what kind of picture I can send to you. I have a picture of. This is so great. I got the Chevrolet Corvette convertible interior picture, which shows you the dashboard. You can choose one of these. All right. I've got. Here's a picture. This is a factory picture of the new Camaro convertible. Here's a picture of the Z28 Camaro convertible. They really don't look any different at all.
How close to the 93s do they look?
They're different.
Different car.
Yeah, different car. Not the body style's not this different though. They changed the body style in '93. But you know what they did? What they told me was they had a low production in '93. But this year, and I think they always do that when they do first-year body changes, But this rear spoiler, John and I were looking at the design of the rear of the car, is really, really nice. This is a different car. This looks like, kind of looks like a Corvette.
You know what? Vaguely. You know, come to think of it, the just discontinued Lotus Elan, I think there's a little Lotus Elan. I mean, of course, this is a bigger car than the Elan, but I think there's definitely some Lotus Elan in that tail. Well, in just my own opinion.
It still has that door stopper look to it in a way, doesn't it? I mean, it's got that wedge look, kind of. I mean, the lines are very rounded.
Wedge look, yeah. But it's not a TR8. Definitely not.
Okay. So you know what? You know what we can do? I'll send you a picture of the convertible here. We got a nice one up against the rocks. I think you'll like this.
Okay.
Okay, Mike, or Mark, rather.
All right.
Appreciate that. Good talking to you tonight. Hey,
Take care.
Before you go, Mark, I got another question for you. You still there?
Yeah.
So, now, what's your favorite car? What's your favorite car to drive?
Well, I kind of collect them. I've got
Really?
a couple of Fieros and 280Z and a couple 280ZXs.
Really?
Yeah. I like fast cars.
What do you do for a living?
Computer work.
Oh, really? So you collect cars? Do you go to the races?
Haven't in a long time. I mean, when I was 15, I bought a 68 GT Torino convertible. Should have never let it go, but used to go to races a lot then.
Oh, you mean the drag races? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, quarter mile stock cars and funny cars and stuff like that. But recently, you know, I've just been picking up a few here and there, and mainly.
Well, I'll tell you, the classic car in the exotic car market, and the used car market in general, I think is going to go through the roof in '94 because the American car dealers and the Japanese car dealers have raised the prices. I mean, they're going up 10 to 12% on domestic cars, and the Japanese, the imports are going up 25%. It's like, these guys are crazy. So anybody that's doing collectible cars, or you know, this is going to be another great year for, I think, for collectible cars and you know, classics, exotic cars. As the economy gets better. I mean, we looked at the numbers here. We have the sales numbers on the Corvette. Where the heck are they? We were looking at them earlier.
They went down.
Yeah, well, they did.
But they've just sort of
I mean,
gone up
how much
again.
are they going to be asking for those Corvettes?
Come on, they got to be 50 grand, don't you think? The ZR1's going to be 60 or.
I talked to one of the gentlemen very shortly, and he was saying
one
maybe
of the Chevy reps.
He was saying something under 50 for the convertible. By the way, Mark, quick question: if the Fiero came back on the line, would you buy a new Fiero?
Probably. I mean, I've been trying to get a hold of the V6 88 model. There's a lot of V6s that are non-88s out there.
I'm only asking because with the demise of the MR2, the low-price mid-engine car market right now is wide open.
Okay, look at back on this Corvette. The ZR1 you're not going to be able to buy for less than $60,000. There's just no way. The standard Corvette you'll be able to buy probably for right around 50, I think.
See, what I was wondering is, a buddy of mine got an '86 Classic Corvette, custom, all souped up and everything, and he got that at auction. They were trying to buy something else, wound up getting a Corvette for under $8,000.
He bought an '86 Corvette for under $8,000?
Yeah.
At auction?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty hard to believe, but I guess.
And, well, he loves it. But he babies it and doesn't use it for commuting or anything, but he chased down the stock cars.
It's very hard for me to believe that somebody bought an '86 Corvette for under $8,000, you know, when they routinely go, if they're in good shape, for over 20. So, I mean, how can you say that? I mean, you know, you can sell a good '86 Corvette.
Well, that's why I was asking you about the '93, because these Camaros, they're going to get rid of those, the police department is, when they hit 75,000 miles. And they baby those engines.
Who does? The cops?
The cops.
Oh, Lenny, where have you been?
Well, I looked at this car,
and
it had 60,000 on it.
Hey,
Pretty scary.
have you met Officer Petra with the Highway Patrol yet?
No, luckily I haven't.
Do you know him? Well, you got to meet him. He's the one who drives the new Camaro, the '93 Camaro in this, or is it '92? I think it's '92. In this quadrant. I've talked to him before, and I've watched him. I've sat on the roadside and watched him go after speeders, burns out every time. I mean, they don't baby those cars. They drive them like race cars, and they are race cars.
They run them, but I mean, they probably, change them, the oil and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure they do, but these guys are in them 8 to 12. These cars are running, 8 to 12 hours a day, and they're running hard highway patrol miles. They've got that big 140 amp alternator in there. They're running all the radios and everything. They go through tires like crazy. So no, these I'll tell you. Now that's a big question as to whether or not Chevrolet can make a cop car motor and a cop car, high performance car that's going to stand up in the secondary market. I would vote no on that. Chrysler, on the other hand, when they had their big 440 cop cars, I bought a few of those, and they were really great. You could buy them at 120,000 miles. But if Chevrolet has to get rid of those Camaros at 75,000 miles, probably there's a good reason behind that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they look good. Plus, they got the horsepower.
Yeah.
There's probably another good 75,000 miles left in them, too.
I don't know. Look, I've been a Camaro guy for a long time. You start beating on a Camaro, they just are not going to stand up to it. And which reminds me, when we had a look at the body structure of the new Camaro, I mean, they don't have the steel that they used to have in the 70s, like in the frame and the subframes and all of that. They're pretty tinny. I mean, I'd hate to wreck one of those Camaros. You stuff one of those new Camaros, you stuffed it forever.
They really need the airbags in those cars, yes.
I think they do. Yeah. And they need some roll bars and like a front loop.
It wouldn't hurt.
They do not.
Wouldn't hurt.
They take the roll bar out before they sell them, is what they told me.
No, but that new, the subframe, they used to have a good subframe, a little stub, the front stub in a Camaro. Mm-hmm. I mean, they weren't much to begin with in the 70s, but in the 90s, they're made out of the same material they make coffee cans out of.
Not good. How about these 94s? Do they?
Oh yeah, we were looking at one. They had all the material in the 94s there. I mean, I don't think I'd want to wreck a Camaro off the line at say 120 miles an hour. You're not going to walk away from it.
No. Well, if you got one of those, where could you take it out and open it up without having the?
What I do is I go up to Wyoming, turn around at Cheyenne, head back down toward Colorado, between Fort Collins and Cheyenne, at around 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you have a stretch where the road is straight for about 3 miles once you come off that big hill from Cheyenne before you get into Fort Collins. There's nobody there. There are no exits. There are no cows. There are no cops. There's nobody. And if I want to open a car up that'll run out at 150 plus, that's where I do it.
Yep, that's where I've gone too. So.
Huh?
I've gone up there too.
Yeah.
That same time
Well, that's the only place to do it, and then. Because, they're generally not out patrolling after 1 o'clock. They go to bed because they don't have the money to pay those guys. And the other thing is...
Unless, of course, they're listening to this program.
Oh, yeah, but they've been listening to me talk this way for 5 years. Well, the other thing is I'll take it out to one of the racetracks. We'll either go up to Second Creek down at 96th and Buckley Road, or we'll go over to the new one up in Meade, But you can't get a car going. You can only put it through its paces. You can't... you can get an Indy car in the back straight of that sports park in Meade up to around 150. But anyways, you hear the music in the background. Mark, gotta go. We'll send you these specs and the picture of the new Camaro. Thanks for calling.
All right,
thank you.
Up on my well. Thanks.
All right, John. Good talking to you. Thanks for coming by tonight.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
And hang on, folks. We're going to get into some heavy material here coming up. I'm Jann Scott. And this is the Talk Station, AM 710 KNUS.
Hi, Denver. This is Ken Hamblin. In today's world, things aren't what they used to be. Why, for years, we paid our taxes to the government.
Interpreter for the Pope. And, sir, I got a message that you called. I just found your phone number. I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes. I know that you were sleeping. I did not mean to wake you up. Thank you.
Tough schedule here, Now, who is this?
Oh, excuse me. My name is Jann Scott. You are on the air live at KNUS Radio here in Denver. And for Pope Week, we've been having someone on from the Vatican. Like we had the Vatican dry cleaners on. We had the Vatican hat blocker.
Oh, yeah.
We had the official Vatican. We had on Chef, what the heck was his name? Chef Eduardo.
Oh, yeah.
You work with him?
Oh, yeah. He develops meals for a lot of us. So
okay.
Hopefully we'll be doing the breakfast here in just a little bit.
Put those headphones on. Well, anyway, sir, I really wanted to thank you for. Would you talk to us a little bit about interpreting for the Pope?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, a lot of logistical problems. See, the Pope, in his native tongue, that we have him live in the Vatican. He's in Rome, and he has to communicate to people there, so he speaks primarily in Italian there. And we're dealing with another language factor here. We got people coming in from all over the country.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know, like, what's suitable, what isn't suitable for the Pope. So basically, I interpret back to the Pope kind of what he wants to hear. Do you know what I'm talking about? The people may not always say exactly, I think, what they really mean. So I just, people will say things to me, and I'll just interpret back to the Pope. So it's something that he'll like.
Now you know that KNUS is the official. That KNUS is the official Italian language station.
Oh, do you broadcast? You broadcast in Italian then?
Well, we will be broadcasting in Italian this week. I have the schedule here. I had it here someplace in front of me. I do have it. I'll dig it up in a minute. But yeah, during this week we will be broadcasting some of the events in Italian. So, are you the Italian interpreter, or do you or are you other languages?
I do. I do most languages. We interpret, but basically, I'm taking the English and interpret it back to His Eminence here for him. And when see, it's more than just interpreting. It's more than just a word for word. Like I said, sometimes I have to launder the language a little bit. We like to call it language laundering.
Language laundering. It's kind of like money laundering here in the United States. I'm sorry, that was a joke. Well, sir, it's Alpha.
I get it now.
Okay, Alphonse is the name.
You can call me Al.
Okay, thank you, Al. Is the official interpreter and translator then for Pope John Paul II. And I understand that you worked for the Beatles also, sir, when they were alive.
Yeah, I worked for George and Ringo, so you could say I worked for all four now. I worked for Pope John Paul, George, and Ringo.
Okay, I get it.
It's an obvious joke. Ask me how many times I've heard that this week.
No, I don't know. I'm sorry,
sir. You know about the lawsuit, don't you?
The lawsuit? No, sir, I don't.
Well, Paul McCartney and Yoko Ono trying to sue His Eminence for the use of the names John and Paul.
Oh, no, really?
They apparently have them copyrighted, yeah.
No, I have not heard of that. I have not heard of that lawsuit at all yet, sir. So, Al, a couple things now. I have some things here I'd like maybe you could help us here in the United States. Maybe some Italian, since we've been mostly focusing on Italian. Some things that we could say. In other words, if we run into someone, I only have 2 minutes left, so we have to make this quick. If things that we could say when we run into people from Italy. As an example, if I were to say, good morning, hi, how are you? How would I say that to someone in Italian?
Good morning, hi, how are you? Yeah. In Italian, you might say like, che si dice, that's what's happening.
Che si dice. Che si dice. Is that right? Okay, now if I run into, let's say, a high school student runs into a good-looking Italian girl, he would like to say, hello, Bella, or something. How do you say?
Hi. Yeah, okay. If you walk in, you want to say hello to a
good-looking
girl, woman, or
yes, pretty
like
woman.
That? How would you say it?
Yeah, how would you say it in Italian?
Buongiorno, quanta bella Madonna.
Okay, buongiorno, quanta bella Madonna. Okay.
We're talking about the woman with the hairy armpits here.
Okay. Buongiorno, quanta bella Madonna.
Right.
Is that right? Buongiorno, quanta bella Madonna. That's good. What does that mean?
That means, hi, how are you? Hello, you're a pretty woman.
Oh, okay.
Very pretty woman.
Buongiorno, quanta bella Madonna. That's good. And then if we were to if I were to say goodbye to someone, which I'm about to say to you, because we're running out of time, how would I say goodbye to you?
You might say, to say goodbye,
you
might say, ciao, bavavut scucciamenda.
Bavavut scucciamenda. Okay, ciao. Bavavut scucciamenda, Alfonso. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, arrivederci.
Arrivederci, bavavut scucciamenda. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue here on KNUS. We're going to talk about nonviolence in a little bit. This is the talk station, AM 710.
Seem like I'm living mighty, mighty thin. I said I'm down to my last dime.
At Lincoln, that goes 150 miles an hour. Runs 10Ks in 1 hour 30 minutes. Eats tofu and cheeseburgers. Plus women everywhere throw themselves at his feet. It's the 47-year-old short, bald guy of late night radio. Jann Scott tonight here on KNUS. Talk to Jann now, 935-7100. or long distance toll-free 1-800-533-0071. And now, ladies and gentlemen, back to Mr. Wonderful.
81 degrees in Denver, 81 in Boulder, and Fort Collins it's 82, maybe. 5 minutes after 10 o'clock here in the Mile High City. We're going to switch gears, actually, he said, from cars and Pope stuff to talking about one of my favorite topics, and yours too, violence in the city, and what we can do about it. Couple things. Let's dig into my black box here. You know that we've had a lot of shootings in Denver. We know that there have been a lot of drive-by shootings. We know that, oh, leave that open because it's so hot in here. I gotta have it open, thanks. We know that the gangs are violent in the street. We know that people argue with one another and shoot each other. We know that men are beating up and raping women at an unprecedented rate in the state of Colorado. Every time we have Michael Lindsey on here from the Third Way, we talk about male offenders, we talk about battering. We know that that's going up. We know that rape is going up in the junior high schools and the high schools. I mean, if you listen to the show, we have teenage girls on here who routinely talk about being raped in bathrooms in high schools. It's something that did not happen 5 or 10 years ago, and you're often shocked about that. I'm not. Okay. What else do we know? We know that Congress has threatened to take the television industry on the carpet for violence in TV, violence in TV programming. What was it in one weekend alone, there were 435 violent programs on all the channels, okay, that used violence, either murder or shooting or guns or weapons of violence. Just out of the Denver Post Sunday's Guide 4 weekends ago. We also know that the TV industry will not do anything about curbing violence unless Congress comes down on them and forces them to take violence out of television. Or unless you stop watching television, or you start protesting channel, 31, 20, 4, 7, 9, all of them. I mean, I can think of only 2 television stations in the entire city, okay, out of 50 or 60 channels that purposefully will not broadcast any kind of violence, all right? Guess what they are? You think they're channel 12 or 6? No, they're not. Incidentally, I mean, channel 12 and 6 alone show more documentaries on war than they ever have in the past. And that's another form of escalating violence toward males, because men really get off on it, and they know that war documentaries, under the quote-unquote name documentary, really sucks in guys between 35 and 55, and it makes their numbers go up during their pledge drives. But the only 2 stations, I take that back, there are actually 3 stations in the city that will not show violence or sex on television. It's channel 38, which is a low-power UHF station in Aurora, which does mostly Catholic broadcasting, but they refuse to show any kind of violence or sex in their movies. Channel 53, which is the right-wing fundamentalist crazy Christian station, who I love to beat on, but the one thing they do right is they show no violent movies at all, or movies with explicit sex. And the other one is channel 41, which is another, UHF educational religious station, part of the Denver Christian University, I think, Christian College. All right, what else? So now we're kind of wandering around. I mean, we can talk about violence in all kinds of different ways, but we're wandering around looking for solutions. I have joining me this evening for the next hour, and you're welcome to get involved here. 935-7D100, 935-7100. I want to know about what you see as solutions to ending violence in our lives and in the streets. We also have 2 people that are experts, and I call them experts because they work for the Rocky Mountain Peace Center, and they really know about practicing the theory of nonviolence. All right, and before you go off at all of that, I want you to have a listen to what they have to say, because there's been a real study made in living nonviolently. Also, a man connected with the Peace Center has gone to Bosnia, and we're going to talk a little bit about what Dan Winters is doing over there. But first, let's welcome to KNUS Leroy More and Adelle Corrine with the Rocky Mountain Peace Center up in Boulder. Hi.
Hi, John.
Thank you both for being there. Now, have you been on radio before, the two of you? Yeah.
On KGNU.
On KGNU in Boulder. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yep. Well, let's
one or two other stations.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. Let's talk about this. Help me out. I mean, here we live in this world. I mean, Bill Clinton's getting ready now to go back into what the heck country is it that we went on a peace mission originally, and we had 4 soldiers killed yesterday in Somalia. So we're going to. I'm certain we're going to retaliate there. There's some concern about going into Bosnia. Should we send troops in there or not? I mean, I don't even. Do you know how many wars are going on around the country, around the world right now today? As of today, do you know their actions?
I don't know the figures on that, but I'm sure the figures are in the dozens. There are several going on around the periphery of the former Soviet Union right now. Right
this minute.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There's something like 20. I think was there 21 as of 2 weeks ago. We have to count them by the week, don't we, or by the day? Mm-hmm. But I think there were like 21 major battles going on around the world 3 or 4 weeks ago. So help me out on this, on nonviolence and the theory of nonviolence. What are we looking at?
What are we looking at? Actually, we're looking at at the way we're raised in our society, and the way life begins for us, and the expectations that we have that violence is an accepted solution. When we look at the at international problems, in a sense, they're an extension of the way we learn how to deal with face-to-face conflict in school, sometimes in the home. What is condoned, what example is set by the leaders of the society, what kinds of things are looked for immediately when conflict emerges, like the situation in Somalia, or like the situation in the former Yugoslavia right now. What are the solutions that people are talking about? They're talking about violent solutions.
Violent solutions to violence.
That's right.
Okay. And are we have to take a break here, but when we come back, maybe we could also talk about what kind of solution should we be looking at on our own streets with our own children, because for some reason they've turned against us, and they're not only killing one another out there, they're starting to kill us. All right, we'll continue this conversation with Leroy More and Adelle Corrine. They're with the Rocky Mountain Peace Center. I'm Jan Scott, and this is KNUS. 935-7100 is the number, or 1-800-533-0071.
When you need legal advice, you go to a professional. When you need medical help, you go to a professional. When you need to make an important decision about life insurance or financial planning, doesn't it make sense to seek a professional? The letters CLU on your insurance agent's business card and CHFC on your financial advisor's letterhead mean you found one. CLU stands for Chartered Life Underwriter. CHFC stands for Chartered Financial Consultant. Those designations tell you this person cared enough to study at the American College, the oldest accredited institution in the financial services field. They also tell you this person is a professional with the experience, the expertise, and the ethical insight it takes to design a plan that fits your needs and is aimed at your goals. Call 303-722-2801. That's 303-722-2801.
You should have your brakes and alignment checked on your off-road four-wheel drive vehicle once a year. This is Jan Scott for Off-Road LTD, sponsors of the motor racing segment on a Sunday night talk. Off-Road LTD, Colorado's largest 4x4 and VW toy store. 15 years experience building or repairing any part of your four-wheel drive. Off-Road LTD at Chambers and 6th, or call 367-9666. Off-Road LTD has the best four-wheel drive service department in Denver.
Hi, Denver. This is Ken Hamblin. I don't know if you know about me or what it is I do for a living. I talk to people, and I'm inviting you to join me. Now, you may have heard that I'm controversial. You'll have to decide that for yourself. I like to think of myself as honest. I'll never blue sky you. I'll never stroke you. I'll never cotton and yield to the absurd things that have become standard operational procedure in this culture. Join me, AM 710, the all-new KNUS, and AM 1130, the all-new KHTH, Dylan Breckenridge.
How do you like tonight's show? Write your best, funniest, most outrageous, praising, or insulting letter on tonight's show and win a dinner for two if Jan reads your letter on the air. Write as many and as often as you like to Letters to Jan, KNUS Radio, 5800 West Alameda, Lakewood, Colorado 80226. And now we return to tonight's Late Night Talkmaster. It's Jan Scott at 935-7100 or 1-800-533-0071.
Leroy More and Adelle Corrine are with us from the Rocky Mountain Peace Center. So we're talking about nonviolence, or having solutions to violent problems by using nonviolence. Let's talk some more about that. I mean, Gandhi was really into that. If we think about nonviolence, we think about Gandhi. You know, he fasted between, who was it, the Muslims and the, I can't remember who the heck they were. Do you remember?
Between the Hindus and the Muslims.
Hindus and the Muslims.
Right. In his own country at the end of his life, when he was in his 70s, when the independence had been won, and the two countries were created, one predominantly Hindu, one predominantly Muslim, and they were very quickly at one another's throats. And Gandhi fasted to not against his enemies, but he fasted to change the behavior of his friends, which he perceived to be both the Muslims and the Hindus. He was a Hindu, but he wanted the Hindus and the Muslims to live well together.
We have Father Gorley here in Denver, who's fasted for 25 days. He just stopped fasting, and we've had him on the program, and he got a lot of attention from fasting. And I mean, the big question is, just in his fasting and his spiritual practice, could he cause a cosmic shift in the community to change violence? And a lot of people, some people made fun of him. I mean, I was truly touched by him. What do you think?
Well, it seems to me that the most profound thing that we can do with nonviolent action or thinking about nonviolence is just what Leroy said earlier about taking a look at things in a different way. Usually when people are in a situation of conflict, whether it's on an international level or a person-to-person level, we have a tendency to think of, I can do this and I can do that. And if you come in with a different way of thinking of things, I think is where the best that nonviolence has to offer for us. And so with Father Gorley, I think probably what he was trying to do is just ask people to think about another way of being with each other. And you talked about the people we have two people from the Rocky Mountain Peace Center who went to Bosnia. And there's 1,000 people from throughout the world who went to Bosnia as a peace presence. Now, they're probably not going to stop the war, but I think that they could encourage people to look at another way of thinking about it.
Okay, well, let's talk about this here for a second. Yeah. According to the Colorado Daily, a newspaper in Boulder, Dan Winters has gone to Bosnia, deciding, I'm going to quote the paper here, deciding it was time to either put up or shut up. 2 Boulder peace activists chose the former and will leave Monday. They're already gone, and they've gone to Bosnia. The goals are to assist civilians in whatever way we can, said Dan Winters, Rocky Mountain Peace Center. We want to show solidarity with the Bosnian Muslims in a time of stress. Winters and James Harrington will join up with and incidentally, James Harrington's been on this program before. He was a delegate, I think, for Congress, Democratic Party, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, we'll join up with peace effort of about 5,000 volunteers sponsored by the Middle East Peace Action Group and leave. They left for Italy August 1st, and from there they went to Sarajevo. So now, bottom line question, I mean, what are they going to really do there? I mean, people are starving there, don't have enough money, and the country's war-torn. Aren't they just going to really get in the way? I mean, would they add to the, go ahead, would they add to the problem or help solve it?
Well, I think there's been a lot of careful planning that went into this. It was planned by an Italian peace group. That's like, say, the Rocky Mountain Peace Center in Italy.
Okay.
And they brought all of their own food in. They set up 3 camps, one in each of the 3 areas of the former Yugoslavia. And they are doing kind of shuttle diplomacy at the same time that they're working with victims of the war and ensuring that they're working with victims on all 3 sides of the war.
What kind of work would they be doing?
They're doing anything that they have talent for. For instance, if they could build, if something was torn down by the war, they're building. They're doing medical care. They're doing that. I think it's just the idea of a human being coming across the earth to help another human being. It's a powerful image, and it's powerful energy to interject into this place where no one can think of a way.
Very dangerous place. I mean, people are getting out of
They're
Bosnia.
putting their lives in danger. Yeah, I think they are.
Because I mean, you know, if we follow the news reports, et cetera, I mean, all you have to do is just look at is it the Serbs? They're putting their gun emplacements next to orphanages and hospitals. I mean, you know, how do you go into a country like that and try to talk sense with people that do that kind of stuff? I mean, they're committing war crimes.
There are people in that country, as well as in our own country, that may not be in the news, that have a very different approach, though, and that are opposed to the fighting and to the warfare. And these people are, from this group, are making contact with their counterparts, who are the peace activists in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We don't read about them in the paper.
That's a good question, and wonder why we don't. 935-7100. Why don't we? I mean, here, listen. How many times have you two been on AM talk radio in the heart of Denver, either here or KOA or KVIN? I'm serious.
Our phone doesn't ring a lot for that request.
No.
Yeah, I've been on one program a number of times, but a few years ago.
So, what was it? Whose show was it?
I was on Ken Hamlin's show. I was fasting about Rocky Flats, and when I was doing that, several radio stations contacted me on a pretty regular basis during that period.
Well, Hamlin's advocating picking up a gun these days and going out and shooting. Yeah, I mean, he's totally switched, which is on some levels too bad. I mean, but
I would still talk to him if he wanted to talk.
Yeah, well, okay, that's good.
Right.
So,
935-7100. Perry and Aurora, don't go away. You're up next. Or 1-800-533-0071. We're talking with Leroy More and Adelle Kareen. We're talking about the practice of nonviolence. And before you go off like a rocket, just think about this, because we're talking to you about something that your parents never did tell you about, and television doesn't tell you about, and they probably should have. You're talking about Bosnia. In the late 1970s, lots of people from both Denver and Boulder went to, where the heck was Pot Paul from? Cambodia.
Yes.
And put their lives in danger to help children and help starving people. Were you involved with that?
No, I was not.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about Cambodia and the comparison between Cambodia and Bosnia. And we'll take your calls at 935-7100. I'm Jan Scott, and this is KNUS.
Dear Michelle, I just got a very nice letter praising your handling of a private party at your Normandy restaurant.
We have the perfect facilities for private functions, large or small, luncheons and dinners, and the prices are reasonable.
I understand that holiday bookings are coming in, Karen. Isn't it a bit early for that?
Certainly not, Dad. For the prime dates, now is the time to book your Christmas parties in our beautiful private room.
The Normandy French restaurant for all your private functions, it's the right choice.
The Normandy in Chez Michel, East Colfax at Madison, 321-3311.
Tom Jensen here.
Karen Kennedy here.
Together with Jim Turner, we walk on the edge Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 6.
That's the name of our show, The Edge. It's talk, it's news, weather, traffic, and sports.
It's also hit and get, comment of the day, and whatever else we can get away with.
So catch the edge, go over the edge, or just get on the edge with us every weekday afternoon from 3 to 6.
On AM 710, the all-new KNUS, and AM 1130, the all-new KHTH Dillon Breckenridge.
Tapes of tonight's show are $15, including shipping and handling. To order tonight's tape, call Jann's producer, Steve, right now at 935-7100. To talk with Jann Scott live on Talk Radio and be heard by thousands of people all over Colorado, call 935-7100 or long distance 1-800-533-0071. And now, back to Denver's late night talk guy, Jann Scott, here on KNUS.
Talking with Leroy More and Adelle Corinne from the Rocky Mountain Peace Center. We're talking about the practice of nonviolence. So I keep saying that nonviolence or practicing nonviolence is foreign to most people, and we're all basically kind of dumb around that. And you're shaking your head at me going, no, 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 Jim, that's not it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I mean, for all of the interactions that human beings have day in and day out, most of it we do really well, and we don't beat each other up most of the time, and we don't shoot each other most of the time. There's a lot of, and even, you know, in Denver now, with the violence that's happening, neighborhoods are doing nonviolent actions. They're not calling it that, but when they're going out on the street at night and walking together through the street, they're doing nonviolent action.
That's right.
It's not something foreign to us. I just wanted to...
Okay, well, I just hear on talk radio, you know, the extremists say, yeah, well, let's get our guns, we'll get in a car, and we'll go out and we'll get those gang members and we'll shoot them. And I'm like, no, that is not the answer. We start that, it'll be, you know, we'll end up with something like Bosnia. I would hate to see America turn into some form of civil war fighting. I mean, we saw enough of that in the 60s and 70s, especially in the 60s. And there are a lot of people, I mean, you know, there are people that don't remember that. You know, I've talked to people that are 30 years old that don't have a clue of what that time period was like and how closely we came to, I mean, you know, turning our streets into a real hellhole. I mean, there are some people that say that that never would have been the case, but, you know, you would have had to have been out there in the streets to know that, and eat enough tear gas and see tanks rolling around, you know, major universities to realize that we were on the brink. Do you agree with that?
Close to it. We were close to it, yeah. There was a lot of flirtation with violence, I think, by people that wanted social change and thought that, didn't think very deeply about the effects, about the spiral of violence, about how violence creates and feeds on itself and perpetuates itself, escalates itself.
Okay, now what we can do now is go to the telephones here, but we've got to plug in some headphones.
I see.
I need some help All right. And we will go and talk. All right. Let's see. You should have. Here's a set of headphones for you.
There's another one.
Where do you
we have to plug yours in. All right. There. 935-7100 is the number. Let's go talk with Perry in Aurora. Hi, Perry. You're on the air.
Yes. Good evening. I had read where Gandhi, towards the end of his life, said that his pacifism and nonviolence would not have worked against dictators like Hitler and Hitler's followers. Hitler believed that he was operating on the orders of the Almighty Creator, and those are his words. And the Tibetans are certainly a pacifistic and nonviolent society, and you can see what the Chinese have done and are doing to them.
Incidentally, we are going to have the Tibetan refugees on here Wednesday night at 10 o'clock, so you might want to tune in for them. I mean, they're pretty active in this country. But okay, but we don't have an Adolf Hitler in the United States, and we're not talking about that kind of situation.
Well, we're certainly some of the situations that are occurring in the inner cities parallel a lot of what was happening in other countries.
Really? Do you see a charismatic leader like Adolf Hitler in the inner cities?
Pardon?
Do you see a charismatic leader like Adolf Hitler in the inner city of Denver or Los Angeles?
No, I have not seen anybody like that.
I mean, you're...
I'm being very glib, but Frank Sinatra once said that a kind word will get you quite a lot, but a kind word and a 45 will guarantee your acquisitions. I think we've got to be very
notice the source.
And,
I mean, listen.
Pie in the sky.
Notice the source of Frank Sinatra, Perry.
Are ridiculous.
Hey, Perry.
You may have quoted Frank Sinatra correctly, but I think you misquoted Gandhi a while ago. I don't think Gandhi ever said that his methods would not have worked with Adolf Hitler. In fact, he advocated people using his methods in Germany. The Norwegians did use them and frustrated the invading Nazis in that particular country. The same with Denmark. There were small instances of successful nonviolent actions even in Hitler's Germany.
Now, I want to point something out. I want to interrupt you here for a minute because now, see, Perry is a classic example of a violent male. Here's a guy who calls from Aurora. Okay, gets in his...
Nothing wrong with Aurora.
No, there's nothing wrong with Aurora, but he gets his 2 cents in about guns and then hangs up and refuses to have a conversation. So, you see, Terry, you're a loser. You have to call back here and engage this conversation and stop being a violent person.
I actually think he had a good point in when he said we don't need to be talking about pie in the sky stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times that's the vision that people have of people who talk about nonviolence, that it doesn't have anything to do with reality, and that's what he's saying. I think that we have to understand that we're not talking about a time when everybody's just going to be nice to each other because we've decided that's what we want to do. That there's always going to be conflict, and we can't avoid conflict. Conflict is going to be there. So it seems to me nonviolence needs to help us learn how to deal with conflict without killing each other.
Even the word nonviolence has a bad word, has a bad
yeah,
rap.
There should be another word.
Yeah, because it's like, right. I mean, we're so used to having violence and violent solutions for everything on one level, but nonviolence has kind of a mushy sort of, and I'm appealing to those of you who are listening. I'm appealing to your intellect. I'm appealing to you to just sit for a minute and think about what the heck's being said here, rather than going off, like a rocket and to the right someplace.
Call us up and give us a substitute for that word nonviolence. Give us a word that actually refers to facing conflict, dealing with conflict, not avoiding it, not running from it, resisting oppression, and resisting it without doing in the oppressor. That's what nonviolence is about. It's not about fleeing; it's about acting. And but we do need it would be very wonderful if we had a good English word for it.
I mean,
we don't have it.
I'll give you an example. Take Jesus and the way he lived and operated on the world. He probably practiced that to a T.
One could say so, yes.
I mean, really?
No
oh, I get it.
here.
Oh, my God. I mean, they put him on the cross.
Yeah.
No, I mean, to the point of losing his own life, to the point of being a martyr, to preaching, turning the cheek. I mean, he had the spiritual lane. He had the spiritual practice of that down. He could do it, and he knew what the benefits of it were.
Yeah, I think.
And he could stand his ground. He could conflict resolve. He could resolve conflict.
Yeah, he's a good example. I think there's people who are doing really good work with this stuff right now, and again, we're not hearing about all of them. I had the experience of going to a workshop a couple weekends ago that was put on by a group called New Foundation, and they go into the prison and teach conflict resolution to people in prison. And I took the workshop that they teach when they go into prison, and almost all of it had to do with building people's self-esteem. I was really surprised. For a whole entire weekend, it was just one experience after the other of increasing your self-esteem, which says to me that people who have a good self-esteem aren't as likely to hurt another person. You don't need to do it.
See, children, let's take the gang kids, okay? But take the kids who are on the fringes of the neighborhoods, and they're, the scenario would be this, they're out on the street, maybe they have parents that are alcoholic or drug addicts or don't care about them, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but for the most part they do. They're joining together with other role models who are older, violent young males and females now. They're coming along more and more. And so then those kids learn to be violent from their older friends, and it just happens generationally. And what's not happening, what's just beginning now to happen, is when adults take to the street and walk the streets and patrol the streets, they have the opportunity in a non-authoritarian way to go over to children and say, hi, how are you, what are you doing, how are things, do you have a mom, do you go to school, what's happening in your life? And these kids are dying to be loved. They're killing one another over trying to get love, and I think most of us are sitting back here in talk radio not getting that. What we want to do is we want to go punish them more. Let's go shoot them.
Yeah. I really believe that anyone who hurts another person would never do it unless they've really been hurt themselves.
We'll continue on KNUS.
You're listening to the only uncensored talk radio program in Denver, coming to you from the designated free zone time slot on AM 710 KNUS.
Seem like I'm living mighty, mighty, mighty.
Denver Jeep Eagle's downtown location. Now, there's a different kind of a place to take your car. They can handle the biggest service problem your car or truck might have. A new engine, a rebuild, transmission problems, doesn't matter how big. But what makes them different is yet another philosophy. They also major in minor things. They major in minor things. Electrical problems, a darn good tune-up, or how about a thorough detailing? They have a few rules at Denver Jeep Eagle, but they're all in your favor. For instance, you'll be treated with absolute courtesy. Your service work will be performed with genuine expertise and professionalism, and priced fairly. You'll even be delivered to work in the downtown area, and they also offer, of course, a huge rental fleet at discount prices, and an amazing variety of top-flight used cars. Denver Jeep Eagle, downtown, at 1330 West Alameda, 871-0305. You're gonna love them.
School's out. Report cards are in. If that report card said, get help with reading this summer, try Hooked on Phonics. Hooked on Phonics is a fun and easy way to sound out and read most of the words in the English language. So from preschool to high school. This summer, let Hooked on Phonics be your personal reading tutor. Maybe this fall, you'll be at the head of the class. Call Hooked on Phonics, 1-800-ABCDEFG.
You can order a tape of tonight's show by mailing $15 to Jann Scott Tonight, care of KNUS Radio, 5800 West Alameda, Denver, 80226. And make sure you include the day and date of the show you desire. And now back to the man who owns late nights here in Denver, Jann Scott on KNUS. Talk with Jann now. 935-7100 or 1-800-533-0071.
Trying to get some stuff going anyway.
What are you trying to do on the streets of Boulder?
Well, right now we're trying to get a program going in that will move into a school or schools, and will provide teens that are on call, so to speak, for their peers, and it will have a hotline for them. And it really depends on what we're able to work out with the kids themselves.
Because they really need the help. The children that are hanging around on the hill, 13th and College, I mean, I've talked with them at great length, and some of them are very violent. They're carrying guns and they're smoking crack, and this is not, these are not Grateful Dead followers. These kids are, and I've talked to their parents too, and a lot of times the parents say, well, I would try to reel my son in or reel my daughter in, but you know what they threaten me with? They say, if you stop me from going out, I'm going to call social services and tell them that you're sexually abusing me. So that's what parents tell me that their teenagers are throwing back at them. And then, once social services gets in your life, try to get them out. Even on a false claim, they will follow every single charge up.
Yeah. We're really interested in developing an initiative that involves the kids themselves and emphasizes communication and trust and not judgment and condemnation. And because we strongly believe that a while ago, Adele was talking about that theme of self-esteem, that there really needs to be attention paid to that. And it's people that are hurting others. So they need to be listened to and singled out and paid attention to. That sounds like a difficult project, and I think it will be. And it can only be done on a kind of one-by-one basis. But beginning that way, if we can be effective that way, I think we can enlarge it and draw more people into the process.
Back to the telephones and talk with Chet in Boulder. Hi, Chet. You're on the air with Leroy More and Adelle Corinne. I'm Jan Scott.
Good evening. This is Vernon.
Oh, Vernon in, well, that's okay. Vernon in Thornton. Go ahead.
We'll go with me anyway.
Yep, that's fine. Chet, hang on. We'll go to you next.
How about, I have a couple of suggestions, and I'm sort of steeped in self-help, I guess. One is assertiveness, and to define that, or do we need to define that?
Well, what are you trying to get at here?
As an alternative to the word non-violence.
Nonviolence,
Okay, so the Rocky Mountain Peace Center, so we're talking about nonviolence, so we can talk about, assertiveness training.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly a part of nonviolence, I think.
Yeah, to be assertive. And how about, this one's taken from Stephen R. Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Being proactive rather than reactive.
Those are good, I think, as qualities for nonviolence. Whether they really convey the whole richness that we need, I'm not sure they do. They might need to be modifiers to some other word.
Maybe we need to, on the other hand, talk about nonviolence a little bit, because if nonviolence gets such a bad rap, and I mean, it's like, you can say, okay, there's too much violence on television, there's too much violence in the street, the movies are loaded with violence, children are being taught violence from videos, etc., etc. Let's just get straight about this, folks. Maybe exploring techniques or practices or the theory of nonviolence, maybe that's really good for a lot of us. Maybe we really need to learn this. And it's kind of like Adele was saying earlier. I mean, in most ways, we're really not all that violent. And I'll give you an example. I sold coupons door to door for about a year, and I'd knock on doors and talk to people and say, hi, how are you? And I kind of got to, it was sort of visiting, and almost everyone that I saw, all the people were basically really friendly to me. It was like, yes, I want one, or no, I don't. But I noticed, God, people are really good. People are basically really nice. I mean, I know this is very strange for me to be saying this in a time when we have gang violence, but that's what I saw knocking on the doors of people who live in Denver. And I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And although we have to pay attention to, what if we have 21 wars going on around the world? We have our children becoming more and more violent in society.
Yeah, it seems to me that you talk about the children a lot, and I think that that's true, but the children learn from their environment and from adults. And something that just amazed me is the violence that I saw in Governor Romer's 14-point plan to attack violence. I was just amazed that he wasn't talking about the kinds of things that Leroy was just mentioning, or that we've been talking about, increasing the self-esteem of young people, or anything like that. He was talking about building stronger and more prisons and putting more people in prison.
He has not had the time to research that. A couple of things that needs to happen, though. When you do have very violent people, the cops estimate in Denver about 250, 300 extremely violent people. They need to be taken off the street.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to deal with that particular group of people.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. He did not address... But he doesn't know. See, he does not understand how to reclaim a neighborhood. When we did our town meeting at King Soopers, part of what my job is to teach the governor and the mayor and some other people how you reclaim neighborhoods and what community patrols can be about, because what they're really about are reestablishing community. We've gone in, that's why I have this file on television, we were looking at earlier. Because 80% of us right now are watching TV, where we were up until 10:30. Now we've just switched to talk radio, which is better than watching the damn box. All right, anyways, thanks, Vernon. We're gotta go to line 1. Chet and Boulder, you're on the air. Hi, Chet.
Hello, Jan and guests.
Hello.
Hi, it's Leroy More and Adelle Corinne with the Rocky Mountain Peace Center.
Leroy and Adelle, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
First, I only facetiously offer a possible suggestion for an alternative word for nonviolent, and that's dead victim. The two examples you gave, Gandhi and Christ, as I recall, both meant violent ends. I'm not sure there is an alternative word for it.
Dead victims.
Pardon me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, victims. The second part of my statement is going to sound weird, but I'm absolutely serious. I've been an atheist for several years, quite a few years, and I'm not sure what's wrong with violence. Other than the theological teachings in our particular religious background, not counting the Old Testament, which was extremely violent. Other mythologies and other religions are very violent. If you take away the religious component, predator and prey throughout nature have to learn to get along by defending themselves and being smarter than the predator.
Okay, hang on here for a second. Okay. Let's get some response, because we've got all our lines are lit, and I want to get through to everybody. Go ahead.
Well, you seem to be confusing a lot of things in what you said. Predators and prey. Most species do not prey upon their own kind, and humans happen to do that. Other species do not use weapons to prey upon their own kind. Humans happen to do that.
There are some animals
so
that do eat them. I mean, cats eat cats, and male cats will. Males will often eat their offspring and things like that.
Male tiger will eat cubs that aren't his when he finds them in the wild.
But yeah, we're uniquely evil in a certain way.
And I'm not sure violence per se, and I'm not necessarily pro-violent. I just am not sure what basis, what are the ground rules.